Why do some people in love always seem powerless while others remain untouchable? Why does the one who cares less always dictate the terms? Today we confront a truth most would rather deny, the hidden weapon of indifference. And in this truth you will learn how power in relationships is seized, not by devotion, but by restraint. Listen carefully, for this is the first truth you must understand if you wish to master relationships. Power is not stolen, it is surrendered. In every bond, whether romantic, political, or personal, there is always an exchange of control. But the mistake most people make is believing power must be seized with force. No, it is granted willingly, often unconsciously, by the one who cares more. Consider this. When you enter a relationship, one heart always burns brighter than the other. One person feels a greater urgency, a greater fear of loss, a greater hunger to keep the bond alive. And it is precisely this hunger that strips them of their authority. For the more you desire, the more you expose your weakness. The more you chase, the more you reveal that you cannot walk away. And once the other recognizes this imbalance, they do not need to take control. You have already placed it in their hands. Power in relationships is subtle. It does not scream, it whispers. It is not displayed in acts of domination, but in the quiet assurance that says, I do not need you as much as you need me. That assurance, that calm indifference, tilts the balance. The lover who can detach, even slightly, appears stronger, and the one who cannot, appears desperate. In love, desperation is the greatest crime, for it makes you predictable, and what is predictable can always be controlled. Let us examine human behavior more closely. Imagine a man who is endlessly attentive, always available, constantly expressing his devotion. At first such devotion may flatter, but soon it suffocates. The partner begins to realize, this person cannot bear to lose me, and in that realization lies the birth of control. The partner knows that they may delay replies, withdraw attention, even inflict silence, and still the devoted one will endure it, because his fear of loss outweighs his pride. His power has not been stolen. He has handed it over, wrapped in the ribbons of his own affection. Now compare this with the one who shows care, yet never excess, who can offer warmth but also silence, who gives affection but never floods the other with it. This person does not chase, they do not beg, they stand firm, unshaken, as if their life would continue untouched regardless of the other's presence. To such a figure people cling. Why? Because uncertainty breeds fascination, mystery breeds desire. The partner begins to ask, why does this person not need me as much as I need them? What power allows them such calm? And slowly, without realizing, they bend. This is why I tell you, power in relationships cannot be stolen. You cannot force someone to love you. You cannot demand respect. You cannot order devotion. All such attempts reveal weakness, and weakness erodes authority. Power must be offered, willingly, often blindly, by the one who desires more than they should. The one who loves without balance, the one who fears too greatly. They give away their advantage by making themselves entirely available. Think of history itself. The ruler who craves the affection of the people above all else becomes their servant. He bends to their demands, fearing revolt, and in time they lose respect for him. But the ruler who maintains a careful distance, who shows generosity yet never dependence, becomes untouchable. The people follow not because he begged for their loyalty, but because he commanded it with his detachment. The same laws govern the private bonds of love and friendship. You may think your situation unique, but it is only another chapter in the same book humanity has written for centuries. When you are the one who holds back, you dictate the rhythm. If you respond slowly, the other waits. If you speak little, the other wonders. If you remain calm while they are emotional, they feel their instability in contrast to your strength. And here lies the irony. You need not raise your voice nor demand obedience. By showing that you are not dependent, you silently force them to depend on you. This is the hidden mechanism of power, invisible, quiet, and devastating. Observe any relationship carefully, and you will see the same pattern emerge. The one who appears least invested becomes the standard by which the other adjusts. If they withdraw, the other grows anxious. If they show affection, the other feels rewarded. Their presence becomes a scarce resource, and scarcity is always more valuable than abundance. Just as in economics, where the rare commodity commands the highest price, so too in love. The rarer your affection, the greater its worth. This is why the saying holds true: power is not taken, it is given. For if you guard your independence, if you refuse to drown in the sea of constant desire, you will find others bending toward you, offering their attention, their devotion, their energy, and they will not even see that it was their own willingness, their own need, that placed the chains around their neck. Affection is not merely a feeling, it is an exchange, and like all exchanges, it follows the laws of value and scarcity. Imagine affection as currency. The one who spends it recklessly, showering it without thought, becomes like a man throwing coins into the streets. At first the crowd gathers eagerly, but soon they grow entitled. They no longer value his gifts, for he has made them too common. Such is the fate of the lover, who pours out their heart without restraint. They become predictable, cheap, and easily dismissed. Now observe the opposite. Indifference is not the absence of care, but the careful withholding of it. It is leverage. It is the gold kept locked away in the vault, the currency no one can easily touch. When you are sparing with your affection, when you do not flood another with your constant attention, you create a sense of scarcity, and scarcity breeds desire. The less available your affection, the more valuable it becomes. People often fail to grasp this. They believe that by giving more love, more attention, more time, they will earn loyalty. But loyalty does not grow in abundance. It grows in uncertainty. The one who is unsure whether you will give or withhold your affection is the one who chases, who waits, who bends. Think of it like this. When water is everywhere, it is taken for granted. When water is scarce, it becomes priceless. Affection follows the same law. Let us return to the realm of relationships. Consider two lovers. One sends endless messages, gives constant gifts, showers their partner with attention from morning until night. The other responds selectively, with calm and composure, offering affection in measured doses. Which one do you think will command more respect? Which one will be pursued? It is not the one who gives all, but the one who withholds. For humans do not treasure what is abundant, they treasure what is rare. Affection, therefore, is a form of currency that must be spent with calculation. The wise ruler does not throw his gold into the streets. He rewards selectively, to inspire loyalty in some and fear in others. The same principle applies in love. You must learn when to reward with affection and when to withdraw it entirely. If you are too generous, your affection loses all value. If you are too stingy, you risk being forgotten. The art lies in balance, in appearing warm enough to entice, but reserved enough to remain beyond grasp. Indifference amplifies this effect. When you show indifference, you deny the other what they crave most, certainty. They begin to question themselves. Why do they not need me as much as I need them? Why do they not flood me with their attention? This doubt transforms into pursuit. They seek your approval, your affection, your validation, and in doing so, they place themselves beneath you. Without realizing it, they become the beggar for the very currency you control. Understand this carefully. Affection is a tool, but indifference is the weapon that sharpens it. To give affection strategically, you must first master the art of withholding. The lover who remains calm when the other grows emotional, who withholds warmth when the other demands it most, becomes the master of the bond. For while others act on impulse, the indifferent one acts with calculation. Their silence speaks louder than words. Their absence feels heavier than presence. In politics, leaders understand this instinctively. They do not rush to reward the masses, for rewards too freely given breed complacency. Instead, they withhold. They create longing. They allow the people to hunger for approval, for recognition. And when they finally give it, it feels like a treasure, though in truth it costs the ruler almost nothing. Such is the alchemy of power, transforming scarcity into value, transforming silence into influence. In love, the same spell holds. When you withdraw affection, your presence becomes scarce. Scarcity creates urgency. The lover grows restless, anxious, compelled to act. They begin to perform, to please, to pursue. Without realizing it, they start competing for the very thing you have chosen to withhold. And in that competition, you are crowned with power, not because you demanded it, but because they gave it to you in their desperation. This is why indifference is leverage. It does not require effort. It does not require struggle. It is the refusal to spend what others crave most. Your attention, your approval, your affection. To remain calm when another begs. To remain silent when another shouts. To remain still when another chases. This is true dominance. For nothing unsettles the human mind more than uncertainty. And indifference is uncertainty refined into art. When affection is treated as currency, you learn to spend it with purpose, not waste. When indifference is used as leverage, you no longer need to chase. Others will chase you. You stand firm like a fortress, while the world beats at your gates, offering tribute, hoping for a glimpse of the treasure within. Desire is often painted as noble, as romantic, as the lifeblood of love. But understand this, desire is not strength, it is weakness. The one who desires too deeply, who burns too brightly, becomes the slave of that desire. In relationships, nothing binds more tightly than longing, and nothing exposes weakness more clearly than the inability to control it. When you desire someone more than they desire you, you place chains upon yourself. You give them the power to dictate your mood, your actions, even your worth. Their words lift you, their silence destroys you. Your happiness becomes theirs to grant or to deny, and in this surrender you become a servant, not a partner.
This is why I say desire enslaves. For the more you crave another, the less control you hold over yourself. Think of the man who cannot rest until he hears from the woman he loves. His day collapses when she ignores him. His joy ignites when she replies. His entire world revolves around her response. Does he hold power? No. He is chained, not by her hands but by his own insatiable need. She need not demand anything. His desire already bends him. Such a man has enslaved himself. Now compare this to detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference to life, nor does it mean coldness without feeling. No, detachment is mastery. It is the refusal to let desire chain you. It is the calm assurance that says, I can walk away. I do not depend on you for my survival. This stance liberates. It frees you from the prison of another's approval. It makes you untouchable, for nothing can enslave the one who needs nothing. The detached lover is never frantic, never desperate, never reduced to begging. They may care, but they are not consumed. They may love, but they are not conquered by that love. Their heart is disciplined, their mind sharp, and because they can withdraw, they command respect. The other senses this strength, and instead of controlling them, begins to seek their control. Observe how human nature responds to detachment. When someone does not crave us, when they do not bend to us, we are unsettled. We ask, why do they not need me? What makes them so strong? What secret power frees them from the grip that enslaves me? That question becomes an obsession, and in this obsession, power shifts. The detached one, who appeared aloof, becomes the magnet. The desirous one, who appeared eager, becomes the prisoner of their own longing. Desire enslaves because it blinds. It makes you see the other as greater than they are. It magnifies their virtues and conceals their flaws. You begin to justify, to excuse, to forgive endlessly, because your hunger for them outweighs your reason. And in this blindness, you hand over your judgment, your dignity, your strength. Detachment liberates because it clears the fog. You see reality as it is. You judge with clarity. You act from choice, not compulsion. Think of rulers throughout history. The tyrant who desired too much, land, wealth, adoration, often destroyed himself. His hunger made him reckless, predictable, easy to manipulate. But the ruler who mastered detachment, who remained content in restraint, was feared and respected. He could not be bribed with gold, nor flattered with praise, nor controlled by desire. His power endured because he was not chained by longing. In relationships, the same truth applies. The lover who cannot control desire is endlessly restless. They wait for messages. They replay words. They obsess over signs. They are consumed, not by love, but by need. This need is visible, and once visible, it becomes exploitable. The other recognizes their desperation, and learns to pull strings at will. A single silence will cause panic. A single compliment will buy devotion. The desirous one becomes a puppet, their strings held by the very person they yearn for. But the detached lover cannot be manipulated. Their calm cannot be disturbed by silence. Their pride cannot be purchased by flattery. Their mind cannot be clouded by longing. They may feel affection, but they do not drown in it. They may pursue, but they do not beg. And because they are free, they command. Their value increases, for nothing is more desirable than the one who does not need. Here lies the paradox. The more you desire, the weaker you become. The less you desire, the stronger you appear. Desire makes you a servant. Detachment makes you a ruler. People chase not the one who clings, but the one who stands apart. They follow not the desperate, but the disciplined. They give themselves not to the enslaved, but to the liberated. Silence is the most underestimated weapon in relationships. People think strength is proven through words, through loud declarations, through constant explanations. But those who speak endlessly reveal too much. They give away their fears, their weaknesses, their desires. The more one talks, the more one is exposed. Silence, on the other hand, is a fortress. It shields the mind. It confuses the opponent. It forces others to guess where you stand. And in this uncertainty, you gain power. When conflict arises, the weaker always rushes to fill the air with words. They explain themselves, justify themselves, plead or defend. Their noise is not power. It is fear disguised as speech. The strong do not scramble to be understood. They do not beg for validation. They do not fight to prove themselves in every moment. The strong hold their tongue, and their silence forces the other to reveal more. In their attempt to break the quiet, the other exposes themselves. This is why true strength lies not in shouting, but in restraint. Silence unsettles. It creates a void, and the human mind hates a void. In the absence of words, the other begins to imagine, to wonder, to question. What are they thinking? Why are they not reacting? Do they not care? That spiral of uncertainty gnaws at them, until they begin to speak more, explain more, reveal more, while you reveal nothing. Thus silence flips the balance of power. Think of the lover who answers every message instantly, explaining every action, pouring out their thoughts without end. They think they are securing trust, but in reality, they are eroding their mystery. Their partner knows everything, every detail, every feeling, every doubt. There is no tension, no space for curiosity, no reason to chase. Compare this to the lover who speaks with calculation, who knows when to withhold, who lets silence linger. Their absence of words becomes more powerful than endless chatter, for it forces the other to lean in, to pursue, to search for answers. Silence also has another weapon hidden within it: control over emotion. The one who erupts in anger, who shouts, who lashes out in every quarrel, may believe they are showing dominance. In truth, they are revealing their lack of control. They are ruled by emotion. But the one who remains silent in conflict, who listens without reaction, who allows the storm to rage while they remain still, becomes untouchable. Their composure feels unnatural, intimidating. It suggests they are not bound by impulse, that they are stronger, colder, harder to move. Such silence is terrifying, and therefore commanding. Throughout history, leaders have understood this power. The most feared rulers were not those who shouted in rage, but those who sat quietly, watching, speaking rarely. Their silence forced others into unease, unsure of what judgment awaited them. The silence of the powerful is never emptiness. It is strategy. It creates anticipation, dread, or awe. Every word they do choose to speak then carries the weight of thunder, because it is rare, because it is deliberate. In relationships, silence can be even more devastating. A single withheld reply creates more tension than 100 declarations. A single pause in a conversation leaves the other scrambling to fill the gap. A quiet withdrawal, without explanation, forces the other to replay every word they said, searching for answers. Silence does what noise cannot. It turns the other inward, makes them question themselves, makes them doubt their standing. And in that doubt, you gain control. But silence must be wielded with precision. Too much, and it may become neglect. Too little, and it loses its power. Like a blade, it must be sharpened and used with intent. A pause at the right moment, a refusal to answer when pressured, a calm quiet in the middle of another storm. These are the moments when silence speaks louder than any words. The weak believe silence is emptiness. The strong know silence is a language. It communicates dominance, self-control, patience, and most of all, independence. It says, I do not need to explain myself. I do not need to justify myself. I will not rush to be understood. You will wait for me. This stance creates both fear and fascination, for people are drawn to those they cannot fully read, and silence has yet another use. It preserves mystery. Words reveal, silence conceals, and what is concealed becomes intriguing. The more another knows about you, the less they value you. The less they know, the more they chase to uncover. This is why the quiet one commands more attention than the one who spills every thought freely. The quiet one becomes a puzzle, and puzzles demand solving. To master silence is to master patience. It is to resist the urge to constantly prove yourself, to constantly chase, to constantly reassure. Most fail here. They cannot endure silence, because silence feels like rejection. But those who can remain silent, even under pressure, even in the face of accusations, even when every nerve begs them to speak, those are the ones who hold true power. For while others surrender their secrets in noise, the strong remain untouchable in quiet. So now you have seen the hidden architecture of power in relationships. You have learned that power is never stolen. It is surrendered by the one who craves too much. You have seen that affection is not love, but currency, and that the one who guards it carefully commands its value. You have witnessed how desire binds a person in chains, while detachment breaks them free. And you have understood that silence is not emptiness, but a blade, sharper than words, feared more than anger. These are not tricks, nor shallow games. They are the eternal laws of human nature. People will call them cold, cruel, manipulative, but do not be deceived. The world rewards not the sentimental, but the disciplined. Those who drown in emotion are ruled. Those who master restraint rule. In every bond, whether of love, of friendship, or of power, remember this: the balance is always decided not by who feels the most, but by who controls the most. And control belongs not to the desperate, but to the indifferent, not to the loud, but to the silent, not to the enslaved, but to the liberated.